Every year, Walt Disney World has an average of over 52 million visitors. And each day alone, it can have over 50,000 guests. And this is because there's something about it that attracts people and draws them in. I'm definitely one of those people, and maybe you are too. So in today's video, I want to talk about why Disney World feels so magical. And when it comes to Disney Hackline, the goal is to share all things Disney, ranging from theme park news to Disney food to tips and tricks, but the list doesn't stop there. I also want to dive into the philosophy and psychology behind our love for Disney as well. So when it comes to Disney World, I feel like there's a phenomenon that surrounds it. A culture, if you will. Now look, I get it. I realize that Disney World has been around for like 50 years, but the culture that I'm referring to is a personal one. For me, for you, and it's the same culture that's been around since the beginning and the creation of the parks. And especially since the rise of social media with things like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it feels like it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And if you even look at the Disney company from a business standpoint, it has one goal: to grow and to move upward in success. This is more than evident in the data of Disney stock. If you look at the long-term data, you can clearly see an upward rise. The bottom line is that Disney is not planning on going away anytime soon. I mean, come on, they now have Baby Yoda. Now, the reason I'm talking about the business and culture side of Disney is because they're obviously a company that knows exactly what they're doing. And as we talk about this idea of a magical escape, my hope is that you feel inspired by the end of this conversation. I want this to be something that sparks your thoughts and conversations as well. And who knows, maybe it'll create a really great discussion in the comments below. Because after all, Disney Hackline is more than just some list of tips and tricks. It's a community that we're all building together. I want it to be a positive community, a platform of learning all about Disney, and at the end of the day, a safe place for all Disney fans to come to. This is a sign that I keep in my studio, and it's this word right here that I want us to start with. Now, I don't even know if it's possible to talk about Walt Disney World without mentioning this idea of magic. And I guess I should probably clarify that I'm not talking about magic in the sense of witchcraft or real-world implications. I'm talking about the fictional Disney magic that is fantastical and made possible through state-of-the-art Imagineering. It's the kind of magic that we feel in our hearts when we think about Disney, the kind that we feel at the beginning of a Disney movie. I mean, come on, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to Disney World, an intangible feeling happens within us that we mentally process as something magical. And it can be so easy in a way to forget about reality in the grand scheme of what is known as the most magical place on Earth. And to dissect that just a bit more, what I'm referring to is the outside world when we're at Disney World. In many ways, it feels as though we've escaped into this magical bubble that seems so much better than reality. We feel as though we've been pulled into this whole new world for the duration of our stay. And it's what makes us immediately want to go back right after we leave. What's amazing is that all of this, of course, is entirely by design. And it comes by many names, a common one being this term called immersion. It's a word that's often thrown around when talking about Disney World or theme parks in general. We hear about attractions and areas within a park being described as being immersive. Disney has always carried a reputation of being intentional in the smallest details, and the details of immersion within the parks is no exception. But I want to take it a step further and argue that this isn't even the first level of immersion that we encounter at Disney World at all. In my opinion, the first level of immersion is Walt Disney World itself. Think about that feeling that you get while planning a trip to Disney. Think about the anticipation you feel leading up to it. Think about the feeling you have before ever setting foot in any of the parks. It's more than just a brand that Disney has created. Disney has been meticulous and intentional in their design and with shaping a high caliber experience before you ever step foot on Disney property. So what exactly does immersion even mean? Well, if we look at what the dictionary says, Immersion is the state of being deeply engaged or involved. It's absorption. Disney's entire goal is for you to feel completely absorbed in the culture that they've created as much as possible when you're in the parks. And this is all in Disney's DNA. For example, one of the reasons that the Magic Kingdom has underground corridors is that characters can get from one location to another without being seen in an area that goes against their theming. You're probably not going to see the country bears wandering around Tomorrowland anytime soon. By creating these deep levels of immersion, it greatly increases the emotional impact that we as humans feel inside the parks. I want you to imagine that powerful feeling that you get when you walk into the Magic Kingdom and stare towards Cinderella's castle down Main Street. Or the feelings and emotions that you have when you watch the Happily Ever After fireworks, along with the projection show that shows a timeline of Disney movies all throughout the years. The reality is that you are not the only one getting that feeling, not by a long shot. And again, it's all by design. Now look, please don't think that I'm saying all of this to try and diminish the magic in any way or pull back the curtain on anything. That's not my intention at all. On the contrary, I hope to add to the magic. I want to applaud it because of the incredible feat that it is. It's unlike anything else in this world, and it's such an immensely beautiful thing. And this is what all creates this magical escape that is Walt Disney World. Now, chances are you grew up watching a ton of classic Disney movies. And if you were to ask a group of people what their favorite Disney movie is, you would get so many varying answers. For example, maybe it's Beauty and the Beast, or The Lion King, or Cinderella, or The Little Mermaid. For others, maybe it's Moana, or Frozen, or The Princess and the Frog. Or maybe it's something else entirely. In my opinion, this is a crucial ingredient for that feeling that we get whenever we step foot inside Disney World. And in many cases, our love for Disney starts well before we ever set foot in the parks. And if I were to ask the same group of people to try and to describe the feeling that they get inside Disney World, the answers would probably be all over the place, because every person perceives life differently and we perceive experiences differently as well. Each of us sees life through our own lens. So when it comes to Disney World, some people may say that they feel bliss, while others may say happiness or nostalgia. And it's because we're physically stepping into worlds we've previously only seen in movies or books or within a fictional universe, whether it's the world of Pandora, Cinderella's castle, or Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. These worlds feel as though they've come to life, which produces a very powerful and magical sensation within us. And I believe that this very feeling is what makes Disney World so vastly popular. The sensation that we feel is so powerful that it keeps making us want to go, or go back. Something inside us craves it to the point of making this an easily repeatable destination. Disney is after more than just cheap thrills. They're after our heartstrings. And before you dismiss that as a cheesy statement, I implore you to actually consider it. It's not uncommon to see young girls crying in happiness when they meet their favorite princess, or even the sheer number of proposals that you see in front of Cinderella's castle. There's a reason for all of this, and it comes down to how our hearts respond to the culture that Disney has created. It's magical. When you walk into Disney World, the hope is that maybe you'll forget about reality just a little bit and allow the inner wonder inside of you to come alive. And I believe that it's this very idea that we perceive as magical. Because of the sheer number of details, technological breakthroughs, and depth of creativity, our brains are forced to play catch up and wonder how it's all possible. At the end of the day, Disney's intention is to give the perception that they really are pulling off the impossible. So yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I would love for the conversation to continue in the comments below. So I encourage you to answer this question. Can you describe the feeling that you had when you first stepped foot inside Disney World? And one last thing, if you enjoy watching these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon and be a part of this amazing community of Disney fans. And if you're on Instagram, be sure to follow Disney Hackline for your daily dose of all things Disney. My name is Tyler Blaylock. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a magical day.